Thank you, Ambassador Dubrovniak and Dobro Jutro. For those of you that don't speak Croatian as well as I do, that is good morning. Mr. Secretary General, thank you for having us here today. It is great to be with all of you. This week's integration session is really an important opportunity, and you couldn't have picked a better focus than urbanization, because cities really are the key to many of the challenges that this council is focused on. Cities provide economic opportunity for those in search of a better life, and their growth is a big reason why the drop in extreme poverty has been seen around the world. Cities foster freedom, tolerance, and equality, and they provide safe haven for those whose rights have been threatened or who have experienced persecution. For proof, just look outside the windows of this building. Families from every corner of the globe live and work in this city side by side, free to pursue their dreams, express their views, and follow their own traditions and beliefs. Around the world, cities are centers of educational opportunity, technological innovation, and economic growth. And more than ever, cities are also crucial to environmental sustainability. And they're the key to confronting the greatest environmental threat facing the world today, and that is climate change. And that's true for two reasons. First, because cities account for 75% of the greenhouse gas emissions that are driving climate change. That's where all the people live, so that's where the pollution comes from. And second, because mayors around the world have a range of executive powers they can use to reduce those emissions and adapt to risks that come with climate change. They don't have to wait for national governments or a new global climate agreement to act. They can take action today, and increasingly, I'm happy to say, they are. The Secretary General understands the powerful role that cities can play in addressing this global challenge, and I'm so glad to be working alongside him and his team in my role as Special Envoy for Cities and Climate Change. This work couldn't be more urgent. Climate change is already damaging crops and destructing commerce and costing governments billions they could be spending on infrastructure investment, social services, and economic development. If we do nothing, these impacts will grow far worse in the years to come. And some of the worst impacts will be felt in cities, especially the majority of large cities around the world that lie in coastal areas. And of those cities, the ones that may suffer the worst losses are those in developing countries where infrastructure is the weakest. So cities must adapt to climate risks and do what they can to reduce them. But those actions can bring other benefits as well, because local investments in sustainability also help attract private investment, drive economic growth, improve public health, and raise the standard of living. Those of us who were in Medellin, Colombia at the UN's World Urban Forum last month saw a great example of this. The cable car system that connects communities on the outskirts of the city to its business center. For a long time, those communities were cut off from the city center and the jobs and services it provides. And that contributed to unemployment and high crime. Medellin's cable car solution is integrating those communities and opening doors of opportunity in ways that also minimizes carbon emissions and air pollution. Here in New York City, we saw firsthand how investments in sustainability can make cities healthier, more livable, and more integrated and more economically vibrant. For example, by eliminating the dirtiest heating oils from buildings, creating hundreds of acres of new parks, and planting 8,000 new trees, we not only helped reduce our carbon footprint by 19% in just 6 years, we also helped make New York's air cleaner than it's been in more than 50 years. One reason New Yorkers are living 3 years longer on average today than they were in 2001, and 2.5 years longer than the average across America. And that's helped this city attract more residents and create new jobs. Now, other big cities that have invested in sustainability, from London to Lagos to Johannesburg, I'm happy to say are seeing similar results. And cities of every size are taking steps to reduce emissions and become more resilient. Sorsogon City in the Philippines, which had been hit hard by typhoons, has developed a comprehensive resiliency plan to protect residents from extreme weather. Maputo City, Mozambique, recently launched a rapid urban air quality assessment to evaluate emission levels in the city, a crucial first step to locate the biggest sources of emissions and do something about it. Together, cities have emerged as a leading force for action on climate change. They have the power to lead, and they will. They're making great progress and sharing strategies to build on each other's successes. Those strategies are spreading in every direction, from less developed countries to wealthier ones, as well as the other way around. The expansion of bus rapid transit is another great example. It was pioneered in Brazil in the 1960s, and it has spread to cities like New York, Paris, and Guangzhou. The sharing of ideas underlines how cities in every part of the world share many of the same challenges, not only climate change. Their leaders share the same concerns, such as protecting people from crime, creating jobs, collecting garbage, and reducing traffic. And that's another reason why cities can help the world's nations work together and find consensus on how to address the sustainable development issues you're discussing this week. But cities cannot move forward alone on climate change. They have to work together with national and regional levels of government. Some cities need greater financial support, or they need to be free to borrow money on their own, independent of national governments. Other cities need more authority and autonomy to take action or greater control over the areas that contribute most to carbon emissions, like energy and infrastructure. Now, these factors vary city to city and from country to country, but I encourage all national governments to consider ways to empower their cities to take climate actions. Those actions will save lives, they'll strengthen and protect national economies, they'll make cities healthier and more economically vibrant, and together they'll make a difference in the global fight against climate change. Around the world, the most successful cities are those with strong, empowered local governments. These are the cities that are most effective at driving economic growth, fighting crime, and improving public health. And they are the cities that are going to make the biggest difference in the battle against climate change. Along with the Secretary General, I'm working to encourage national governments to set ambitious climate goals by showing them how much cities can contribute to those goals. And I'm working with him to ensure that this September's climate summit here in New York is a great success. I hope leaders from all of your national governments will attend and help bring us closer to reaching a meaningful global climate agreement in 2015. All of you can help lead the way, and your work will help make the world a better place for our children and for all of the generations to come. Thank you for inviting me here today, and have a great, successful week. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Bloomberg for his statement. Hvala lijepa. That's thank you in Croatian. And now, with pleasure, I invite to the lectern the Executive Director of the United Nations Human Settlement Program, Mr. Juan Clos, to address the Council. Mr. Clos, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Vladimir Drovjak, Vice President of the Economic and Social Forum, Your Excellency, Mr. Paul Kagame, President of the Republic